everyone, so I've been asked to give my opinion when it comes to taking SSRIs to overcome visual snow. Now, I'm going to share this opinion. It is just an opinion, however, it isn't just plucked out of the sky. This is from my own experience, but also the experience of my clients as well. Okay. So, and what I'm about to say as well not only relates to visual snow, but this is also how I feel when it comes to anxious recovery, OCD, panic disorder. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm going to bring your attention once again to the sensory-motor OCD model. Okay, I'm going to post that somewhere there. Okay. Now, when we're looking at this, it's really, really important to recognise that taking a medication to make it all go away is a compulsion. Okay, so when we do a compulsion, when we do a safety behaviour, this is something that we do because we believe that we can't cope or we can't tolerate the symptoms of panic, of anxiety, and in this case, the visual disturbances. Okay, so every time that we do that, when we take the med, that is sending a really, really strong message to our brain that visual snow, the visual disturbances, are dangerous. Okay, what do you think happens in our brain when we do that? So looking at this model, what we can see is whenever we do something, whether that's taking medication, obsessive Googling, scanning white walls, every time we do something to relieve ourselves of the anxiety and the panic and the snow, all that does is perpetuates the cycle because our brain learns, oh my gosh, the snow is dangerous. Really? Oh, and then that gives us more anxiety, more adrenaline, and therefore more visual disturbances. It keeps us caught in that loop, okay? Not only that, but I truly believe that taking meds, when it comes to anxious recovery in particular, is wallpapering over the cracks, okay? Now, if we want to do that alongside behavioural change, fine. I mean, I would rather that you didn't, but that's your choice. But if we're going to do that alongside behavioural change, then people talk about how taking anti-anxiety meds can turn down the volume of what you're struggling with so you can change the channel, so you can make the behavioural changes. But if we're taking meds on their own and expecting all of this to go away, it doesn't work like that. So what we need to do is actually not wallpaper over the cracks, but look at the crack behind and do something with that behaviourally. So what that would look like, I know I've talked about this before, but reducing Googling, practicing allowing it to be there whilst you go about your day and we don't avoid things, letting go of reassurance seeking, etc., etc. That is what will help with recovery, okay? Anxious recovery, in particular, in this case, I'm talking about visual snow syndrome, is about learning that you can cope, that you can tolerate, and ultimately that you accept visual disturbances. It's only when we do that will they start to reduce, okay? Now, if we're taking a medication, are we accepting the snow? No. Are we tolerating the snow? No. We are almost like at the other side of that. We're saying, I don't accept it. I hate this. I wish it would go, which will obviously lead to more check-in. And, if I tell you, try and not think of a pink elephant. It's all you're going to think about. And this is what happens when we take a medication. We're saying, I don't want to think about that pink elephant. What do you think is going to happen? We're going to notice it more, okay? Another thing that I think it would be good to look at is when people have been taking an anti-anxiety medication for a really long time. In my line of work, I meet people who've been on meds for 25 years, but yet are still coming to me with excessive anxiety, panic, OCD. They're still having, depersonalization all the time and being caught in a loop, or, with visual snow, really still obsessing and traumatized by their symptoms. Now, I'm sorry, but if the meds worked, would you still be feeling this way in years and years' time? No, you wouldn't, okay? So, yeah, this is my opinion. I believe they can do more harm than good, to be quite honest. And all that they do is they attack and pull apart your self-belief in your ability to cope. And that is the crux of recovery. We need to find that in ourselves, okay? That's what makes us recover. Now, if we're then giving our credit to a medication. So say if we manage to go and see our friends despite our visual disturbances, which is great, but we say to ourselves, I could only do that because I had my medication. You don't get the credit for that. You don't get that kind of, almost that kind of evidence that you can put in your back pocket and be like, I can overcome this. You don't really get that in the same way when you take a med, okay? So that's my opinion. I believe quite strongly in it. I'm not on my own with that. I know Drew Linsarter, he's really, really top anxiety specialist. Is known as the Anxious Truth online. And I know that he also feels really strongly against medication. And he talks a lot about his own journey of that. But something that really stands out to me is he talks a lot about, going seeing his old, forgive me if I've got this slightly wrong, but I think he goes seeing his old GP, and his GP actually shares with him that, we don't actually experience a withdrawal of, the effects when we start to come off a medication. It's just the old problems coming back, the old problems that we never actually dealt with. And I think that's really important to remember too.